I'm gonna practice a light fighter with heavy cannon because it's the worst combo for me at the. I'm sure it just is. I just get confused. This will maybe iron out the kinks. Oh, and I got distracted from Borderlands 3. I was having fun. Very chill, even on high difficulties, if you get a good character going. They made Borderlands 3 a lot more casual. A lot more helpful when it comes to actually having fun. Don't need to do farming and just play Gamu. Just kind of do whatever quest line you want at whatever point, and it's all good. Do also like, I think, yeah, it was like the see for jackpot. That one's probably. I feel a lot less confused in the light, probably just because I'm bots. Because against people, it's getting very confused. Not moving very well. Being more bothered by this. Oh, I didn't even have to like turn off my. Currently, don't have anyone. Well, I don't have anyone even. I finally made a live channel. It seemed like a good idea. Oh, I don't have to yell at people that I'm live because the channel says so. Fantastic. Even if I want to make it private, I can just do that. All I have to do is like make a rule that would like, oh, you need to ping me, whatever. And that would like cut down on nonsense. Right now it's public, which is gonna be eventually. Because everyone else I'm aware of just has their stream channels private. Mine's just not private out of lazy. Change it. Bounty hunt. Teams ends up being a little bit weird. If you do too well, then there's suddenly like. But this will help me with using lights, because we used bombers for too darn long. The point where I don't know how to fly a light. And then heavy, I assume, will just, like, if I decide to use heavy, it'll just be fine between the bomber and... I know how to fly between... But heavy should just work. Not sure what even the default power burn settings are, because we have like 1,000,000 test parameters. I have no idea what the default behavior is anymore, but it definitely does something. It's sad that all the speeds are gonna go slowed down again. Well, I think 700 is acceptable, kinda. I think 500 would be way better. It's just a shame that the other speeds that they go, because I still just want uniform. No matter if you're using a power burn, a boost, or your normal engine, you always can get to the same speed. That's still what I prefer. And maybe you could have the soft capping still be the way it works right now. Where the soft capping is the fastest doing a power burn. But then that just means people get away from you. Power burn. I think I could live with that, but I would just prefer complete uniform speed limits, no matter what movement you're doing. The only thing that changes is acceleration. I would prefer that, I would say. I feel like that would be more smooth. Right now, it's gonna be where everything's gonna have its own speed limit. Where if you're using normal engines, it'll be like 300-ish meters. If you use the combat boost, it'll be 400-ish meters. And if you use the power burn, it'll be 500-ish meters a second for your top speed. I think that means I might prefer the hard capping. I think I would prefer soft cap. That would introduce like really strange gameplay if you had the soft capping be uniform across all engine inputs. Because that would mean that you would power burn for like a tiny little bit of a second, and then you would stop as soon as you hit your cap speed and then switch to normal engine. Because it would be the same effectiveness going faster. Yeah, I don't. Strange. Very strange. No, I think having the ununiform soft speed increase probably. If you have uniform initial caps. I think that's a good compromise. So I would actually prefer no soft capping at all. If anything, I just prefer unlimited speed, no capping whatsoever. That's what I would like. Unlimited speed. Oh, something hit me really, really hard. Go to one of these. Not sure. Something else if like the. I was thinking. Issue with the soft capping. If you do it that way, we'll be able to get away from you. Which I'm, well, not use, just like inevitable. I think is more accurate. It's not easy to get away from people. It's just inevitable you'll get away from people as long as you were boosting first. You're gonna perpetually be 5 meters a second faster than them. So you'll eventually, after 30 seconds, you'll be out of their range. So it would just be like take a long time to get away, which might actually be worse. Because you get people chasing longer because they think they can catch up when they can't. So you make running away seem like more of a problem because it's wasting everyone's time more. It's not like cycling really quickly. You want like running away to cycle a lot faster where people only run away for a short period of time. Which kind of was what was happening, abusing the power to easily escape it. But they usually like turn back and fight though. The only problem with that was you were escaping getting a shit ton of damage dealt to you for not managing your energy really well. And just using power burn to like bail you out, really. That was like the only issue. Also, there is a lack of telegraphing. Like, you don't get warning when someone's about to power burn. You only know they power burn after the fact. That's also somewhat of a... all very common. Think. Well, except for movement, this unlimited uncapped speed, I think, is the perfection. This doesn't work for netcoders. Even though I think it'd be... Oh, you could still limit the speeds to probably 2,000 just from map design and map boundary. It would get limited to about 2k meters a second regardless. Even if the G-forces weren't limiting it, that in itself would limit it anyway. Because then you'd feel like, with uncapped speed, you'd feel like a lot more intercepting would happen. Probably. Might be fun. I know. If there was like a test for uncapped speed completely, I could like ask Tor, let's just like fight each other and see how this is. He likes, I remember him at some point saying that he likes completely uncapped speed. So we could see if it's like any fun to fight each other compared to normal or something like that. I think he still has an interest in like the potential of it being uncapped. I think he's also aware, I am, that it's not good for error reduction for the server. Very sick. Oh, I know he would love the test. I think. I don't know. He could have changed his mind in like probably the 2 years since I learned that. Who knows? Although, at least we might keep like the power burn in racing specifically, just so that we don't screw over anyone who like does well or holds the record at this instantaneous moment. As well, I don't really care how racing works that much. I don't want to screw over anyone either holding the record, which would be Sorg, or people that are like getting their time down and they're learning the method to the madness and then suddenly changing the rules on them because we thought it was better combat balance, when they were like just finally learning like the current system. It's like, oh yeah, actually we're gonna make power burn really bad in racing now, when it was the meta. And so now you gotta like completely when you were just finally getting the hang of it, or you got the hang of it and got your record, but now you are kind of like somewhat robbed from your record now that the method to get it is now completely different, and you gotta learn that now. And you have a risk getting the record taken away from you when it normally wouldn't have been taken away. Yeah, I wanna... If racing's gonna change, it should be done, like, really slowly when it feels like the community are, like, more ready for something to be changed about it. Versus when the community's, like, still, for the most part, getting in the racing slowly and learning it slowly. So you'd have to pick a good time when, it's, like, slowed down for, like, the amount of people racing, and that's when it's like, hey, we're gonna start to change up racing to make it resemble the current flight model in terms of mechanics. Or you could just have them be permanently different forever, because, I mean, why would you even use the normal combat chip during racing? It should be something that's just made to go fast anyway. It's like, the only reason to use, like, the same, chip for racing as in combat is, like, if you think that that would help you, like, train your flight more. To an extent, it does. I can assure you right now, with how racing works, with power burning, it doesn't really help you get better at flying in combat. It helps you with running away a little bit, and evading a little bit, in terms of, like, fighting somebody. It doesn't help you out that much. Other than, like, very basic stuff. Just, like, your overall comfort level of flying the ship is, like, the only... The actual techniques you learn in racing aren't very useful in combat most of the time. You'd have to have a very specific playstyle for it to actually, like, bear fruit. Whereas for the majority of people, it's not really going to help you. In a tactical. It's only in, like, a little bit for feeling like you get more of a handle over the controls, and a little bit of a handle over the G-force tolerances, but that's gonna be about it. That's like the only benefit you'll see, I think. This bomber is a bomber. Soft cap speed. I don't know how you would do it in a way where you could have soft capping, have it be ununiform, and not allow people to inevitably run away in 30 seconds of them being chased for 30. The funny thing is, the only game where I know, probably Overload as well, but the only game I know where it had a period where chasing was actually fun was actually some of the older patches of Drone, where people could run away from you easily, but you could also chase them very... And I think I already figured out, well, the reason you can't chase easily in HunterNet has more to do with the G-forces than anything else, because you can't ever overshoot anyone, because if you overshoot the guy you're chasing because he changed the direction when you weren't expecting him to, if you overshoot even a little bit because of the amount of G-forces you expend just to cancel out your momentum and then completely redirect yourself, you're gonna pass out from trying to do that. So you either pass out from trying to do it, or you slow down your rate of getting back on their tail so that you don't pass out, and then they get away from you because of that. That's like what the issue typically is. It has more to do with the forces. And then, Lord forbid, you need, like, your up tolerance to chase somebody, and you're rotated the wrong way, and then the time, like, reaction from the fact you have to rotate first and then move a certain way to, like, chase somebody is, like... That will allow them to gain, like, 100 or 200 meters just from having to rotate 90 degrees so that you're at the right angle to chase them on to maximize, like, your resistance area, so that might potentially... But that contributes to chasing, sometimes them gaining, like, a few 100 feet or whatever. Is when they... If they're using, like, their upper resistance cleverly. Where you're required to use it yourself just to follow them. Not even, like, to cut them off, but... And that's also the other issue. It's really hard to cut people off, because if the person running away is maximizing their G-force load, it's not even possible to cut them off, because if you try to cut them off, you'll pass out. It's not possible. You don't have the G-tolerance. You couldn't possibly cut them off. It's too extreme of a maneuver for you to even do. Because their evasive path they took is already pushing the Gs to, like, the max of, so there's no wiggle room to cut them off. So that's why it doesn't happen very much unless you're oncoming, essentially. If you're chasing behind someone and you want to cut into the curve they took, 9 times out of 10 you're going to pass out. As long as the person who's running away is, like, pushing their G-force to as high as they will go for their G. They couldn't possibly push their ship harder. Which means anyone chasing them can't push their ship harder either. So that's why, with having a damaged ship, that's probably still the best system. Or, like, if you want to stop people from running away, is, like, slowing people down when damaged. Probably the best. Maybe. I would love to try out having a system where the more you're damaged, the less G tolerance you have. I feel like that would be terrifying. So, I feel like that would result in being able to chase people easier, but I believe the sheer amount of confusion and complicated that system would entail, the fact that the G-forces get higher on your pilot, the more damaged your ship is, because you could just assume that it's like, oh, when the ship's damaged, the first system to weaken is, like, the system that's reducing the G-strain on your pilots. Increasing the G-strain on your pilot while damaged, I feel like would be utterly terrifying for what that would mean for how you pilot your... It would mean that you definitely couldn't run away anymore. Because then the person following you would have, as long as he has more health, he'll be able to outfly you, no matter what you do. So you'd have to be really, really clever with how you fly to get away from him. And that's why I feel like if you even try to do such a thing, like, you would have to, like, make the G tolerances get, like, 20% worse on 0 health at, like, the most. And if you did it any more than that, it would just feel like you're so crippled on low health that it's not even worth talking about anymore. But, might be a lot of fun. I don't know. That's something I would love to test. See if that system has any kind of use. Because I feel like you just piss everyone off. Yeah, so it's like, I feel like it would definitely solve the problem, but it would be a case where the cure is worse than the disease, potentially. At least that's what people would think. I think that you'd actually just need to learn that system for a few months, and you wouldn't care about what it's actually doing, though. I just don't think a majority of people would be willing to, like, learn. Kind of like when I initially, I think, suggested having power burn damage you if you ran out of energy, which absolutely would have stopped the running away problem completely, but the problem with it was no one was willing to put up with it. I mean, besides me. I mean, I even killed myself once or twice with power burn when it did heat damage. It's just the problem is no one's willing to suffer through that mechanic, even if it does actually solve the problem, which is kind of why I suggested it way back then. It made the most sense to nerf it. And I think the main reason people were dying from Power Burn was because they were trying to use it to get out of a fight that they were losing, and it ended up killing them because they had so little energy. Like, that's, like, what I always thought, but I just knew that it was gonna be a losing battle and convincing to actually.
Hi.
You came back.
Yeah.
Did Snow die horrifically?
He went on a death spiral that he wouldn't get out of, and it just
Okay.
became so fucking.
He's spiraling! I am, live, like I said. Big live.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I already discussed. I should really make this, not joinable unless I move you into it, because the Discord's technically public, where the link's available publicly, basically. But the server itself is technically private. Which I like more, because I have more control over it, basically. The hybrid server. So I figured it's like any person causing trouble could just join it, join the stream live, and do whatever they want, and then I get tournament oofed from.
Permanently oofed?
Yeah, permanently oofed. That's what it's called now, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, poor Snow. May he one day be happy.
Oh, what happened?
He happened. He did it to himself.
Oh, okay.
That's all you need.
Interesting.
Yeah. To be honest, he just kind of went on a death spiral, and he wouldn't shut up. And I'm like, please.
I would say I am like 90% sure it's a mindset issue more than anything.
It is.
Like, I don't think.
But I'm not a licensed psychologist, so I can't say.
All I'm saying is, like, I think something is definitely wrong with you, but I feel like you're giving up too easily and trying to do something about it. What it feels like. That's why I'm like, well, like, how could you possibly know it's not solvable? Like, how do you know that? Like,
He's being autism.
because he's like convinced himself like he can't do it. But how do you know that's true?
Thing is, it's one of those. He just thinks it to be true, even though it's. Really
Well, to me, I would say that's why I'm a little irritated, because to me, that would be the kind of thing where it's like, that's the kind of thing you need to be determined to overcome permanently and never let up, otherwise you're gonna lose. And then it feels like he doesn't even want to, like, put a little bit of effort in. That's why it's, like, quite a little weird. Well, yeah, it's extremely hard. It's probably the hardest thing you could ever do, but you're not even putting in, like, C-level effort. In my opinion.
You gotta change. Changing a mindset's not easy.
Even though I think I've done it 3 times. My mindset's changed a few times.
Wait.
Oh.
I just need to grab the Vault key piece. I'm almost done. So I'm thinking. So
Vault
we're gonna finish Borderlands 1 today, and we're gonna start Borderlands 2 tomorrow. Is that okay with you, Kenobi?
Hold up. I'm watching this first.
Yeah, oh, I think I'll play Borderlands. Yeah, I'll play it with you. I just won't. I'm just don't know how consistent I'll play it.
Fuck, you got this update from Nova Sky.
Oh, what?
Like,
Actually, no, but yeah, you will love it in the meantime, even though you hate it. So, it seems on Expedition 4, when you complete that, you get a sandworm egg.
Yay! Sandworm.
They get the title Wormlord.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I like my worms.
Yes, worms are amazing.
What's missing in
that was
190?
that was
Worm.
the fight. That was what they. If that was the final boss, that was a very sad final boss.
What was its name?
What was it? It was like Scrack Hive or something.
No, that's not the final boss.
Rack Hive.
That's not the final boss.
They said, "Oh, you gotta steel yourself for the challenge ahead." No, that was I was like, okay, that means just basically running without any previous knowledge, and I won first try.
I do kind of find it funny that, like, I think canonically the Borderlands 2 Vault Hunters are stronger than the Borderlands 1 one.
Krieg is actually like Krieg is noted to be one of the strongest psychos there are to roam the Borderlands up, right?
Mhm.
But he's done it in a way that he is fucked up, but can actually still allow allies.
He's a
Like,
foobar.
Like, what does that mean? I have no
Fucked up beyond all recognition.
Yeah, he's foobarred, but he's foobarred to the in like a psychological point where he's foobarred, but he's still able to create connections, which is the thing that's like, oh crap, because supposedly he could like actually like supposedly in the lore he can actually reason with other psychos, which is like, whoa.
I wish that was represented in game. That'd be cool. That'd be a cool skill. Having a chance to befriend psychos temporarily. Imagine you befriend a suicide psycho and it suicides into like 3 enemies and they all die at the same time. It'd be the best thing ever.
But the thing is, that's like, it was like back lore. It's one of those things where it's like you have to read it to figure it out. Also, other thing, that's the thing about Krieg that's pretty neat. I don't know if you guys know about this or not, but
No.
Krieg's actually Tiny Tina's father.
Oh, sweet.
They should just spoil on Gunman stream.
Yeah. Big spoil.
Well, no. That's literally one of those deals. You kind of, it's one of those you have to figure it out yourself because you do a quest line, and then the quest line, he basically goes, you know, he talks about her. It's like, whoa.
Oh.
Wait.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're really gonna hate Borderlands 3. I just realized that something happens in it that you'll hate.
Mm-hmm.
Because based and it relates to Krieg somewhat. You'll know it when it happens.
Oh, yeah, no, I've heard that. There's a reason why I want to do it, just so I could at least get over with it, because it's
Oh yeah.
like, you know, there are games that you want to play, and there's games where you just want to fucking see what happens in it. It's one of the, I want to see what happens. I know this is gonna be an absolute big shit show, but
Essentially, Kenobi, the part that you said is my favorite part, that's the part that Darth will lose his mind over, essentially, but don't spoil what it is. Yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, nah, I can't wait to play Borderlands 3.
Enough to skip Borderlands 2. And pre-sequel.
No, dude, I thought you wanted me to play PC.
Oh yeah, but you could skip it and start with 3. I'm not that
No, I'm
strictly.
not gonna play Borderlands 3.
I just think you should play pre-sequel before 2, because it comes before it chronologically, and it makes more sense. Definitely.
It does make more sense. I'm debating doing that, but it's one of those, if I could get Borderlands 2 out of the way, I could get it done.
Get it out of the way when it's your favorite game.
Well, yeah, like, playing it again is one of those deals, like, to be honest, I could actually entirely skip Borderlands 2, the story, because I already know what the fuck happens. I know the whole story by memory.
I somehow forget half of it every single time. I don't understand what goes on.
I know what happens, the whole thing. The whole route, everything that happens in it, all the big key pieces.
Like, I only remember Southern Shelf, and then after that, it's like, I don't fucking know. Something happens.
I know, so basically what happens after Southern Shelf is
I don't spoil it, because I'm gonna be even more bored when I play it, and then I actually remember it. It's like, don't spoil what happened. There'll be some amount of, like, discovery, which will help me out a lot.
Yeah,
Well then.
like, the only thing I gotta say is this game is not like other Borderlands.
I think pre-sequel, I remember the events, but I don't remember what order they come. Exactly.
The sequel and the first game, like, what is the timeline on it?
Basically the timeline is the first game, pre-sequel, 2, and then 3.
Yeah, I know about it, but it's like the events that's happening in each game.
Yeah, that's how that's the order they come in, for events. Isn't it curse? Big curse.
Bang. Bang. So. Oh. I got all the vault keys. I just put it together.
You like the key?
I'm so close to the game being done. After this, I'm gonna stop playing. Like, I gotta take 1 day of Borderlands, like a break for Borderlands, just to get this one out of my mind. But like, I literally could have finished this last night, but I didn't play the game for 4 hours just because I would have, like, I was sitting there, I was like, you know when I was laughing like a maniac yesterday, or like.
A lot of stuff happened.
Well, like, I was laughing like a maniac. I was like, I can't. I was so hysterical. Like, my friend looked at me and goes, "You're Borderlands crazy." I'm like, yeah, help me.
Borderlands madness.
And then basically he just like gave me a good roguelike game, and I'm like, oh, this is.
Was it Everspace?
No.
It would have been hilarious if it was.
No, but Everspace is a really good game. I do recommend it.
Even better when you get to the.
Someone who didn't have any money, and they looked at me and go, "Fuck off." And I'm like, "Why?" They said, "You can't do this to me. You can't show me an amazing game when I have no money." I'm like, suffer.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to make that money then. Like, go, like, asking people on the street, "Do you have a job that you want me to do?" and you'll pay me, and then, yeah, there you go. You don't even need to get hired, you just need to work some odd job that for a day or so. Oh, there was like a horror comedy show. The whole point was to make people think they were actually like there was actually a psycho killer attacking them or whatever. And what they would do to get people to not be aware of it is they would have post job listings for like a one-time deal.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, but the thing I found tismy is people.
The one on Netflix?
Yeah, it was that one.
Yeah.
I liked it, but some people. Yeah, some people were like uppity how like, wow, that's so horrible to do people to make them think they're getting like a job though. It's like it's not a career though. It was only a one-time thing.
Yeah, it's like an odd job.
Yeah. And the other thing is I think a guy clued in that it wasn't real, at least a little bit. Or he was just like that was how he reacted to being scared, which is to like be really chilled out. Because you're like, wow, that guy's chilled out, he must know it's real. It's like maybe, but he might have just been scared stiff at the same time. Where all he could do is like just be really calm and relaxed when he's actually terrified.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like you know, there are some things where it's like a thing of like delayed fear reaction. It's a type of thing that some people have.
It's like he goes back home to sleep and then he has tormenting nightmares.
Yeah, like where I've actually seen that where it's like delayed reaction to like fear.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, do you find it funny how like every instinct you have when facing like a predator gets you killed or whatever? Like, how does this doesn't even make sense to me? It's like, why do we have these instincts if all they do is get us killed? I don't know. It's like, because the instincts are supposed to help you.
Well, they did, but back in the day when you actually knew how to use them, like back when you knew how to sling rocks, knowing when there was a predator nearby was actually.
Well, it's just like the fight or flight response. It's like, well, I don't think you're fighting a grizzly bear, and you're not running from it either. And the actual solution is to like be intimidating, but not actually like, you know, attack it. Typically for like grizzly. I think you can like attack it if like that's like your last resort, but the main thing you want to do is be really intimidating to it. That's the main thing.
Get what they say. Basically, stand up on your tippy toes. If you have a jacket, flail that shit around. Scream very loudly.
I can do the screaming part. It's like if you're going in the wilderness, take a gunny haha with you because he can outscream anything in the woods.
I already can imagine you're sitting on a bench, you hear a gunman scream, then you see a bear running the opposite direction.
I hear like gunman going blah, and then like all the bears in like an area just run away.
Yeah.
Like, seems reasonable.
Yeah. What would happen?
But that's usually with a lot of animals. When you try to spook them, they are really scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, great way. If you're in a wolf pack and you're basically like, you know, whatever, run and scream at the smallest wolf you can see. When an hour runs away, it basically actually alerts the pack saying, yo, like, like, because if one runs, they all run. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the thing about Alpha, there are no alphas. They all swap and do different jobs.
Yeah.
Animal
Just-
attack.
It's not a permanent position, based.
Just
it's not
when
really
it comes to wolves, if one of the wolves get attacked, it's not guaranteed that they will run away. Some will literally retaliate in order to save their.
Yeah, you're packed. But that thing is,
Yeah.
you're supposed to scare them away, not.
Not attack them.
Because if they attack, they will definitely retaliate normally.
Oh
so-
yeah, no. But like the whole point is scare them away. Basically, like.
It's basically it's like having a hostage. You're the hostage in this situation is you want to scare them, but you don't want to kill the hostage. In this case, killing the hostage is actually physically attacking the wolf.
That's just, yeah, you have a
Well, like, when
hostage.
you
for
basically-
that
Yeah.
reason.
What you do, like what I've seen, is basically what you do is you look and you run and you scream and wave your hands towards the smallest wolf.
Because the hostage in that instance is scaring it, and killing the hostage would be attacking the wolf. Because the point is when you attack the wolf is when you lose your leverage. And your leverage is threatening that you're going to do something bad to them. So they'll just run away because they don't want to get injured at all if it's possible. But the second you actually attack and injure one of them, at that point it's like, well, now we have to kill you because you might actually either hurt them more or kill us because... It's really strange, but that's how it works.
Yeah, animal cytology is weird. That's the reason why there's a whole profession about it. Like, if it wasn't interesting, there wouldn't be people who would study it. You know.
Have they figured out how ferrets work yet? They're very
yes.
mysterious.
Yes, they're weird noodle cats, and they seem to have an affinity to be noodly and cat-like.
Yeah, well, the weird thing with ferrets is they like to pretend to attack you all the time when they're kind of playing with you.
Oh, that's just how.
Yeah.
So basically, that's the same thing.
It's
how,
really
like,
funny.
With like lions and stuff, they're sprawling. It's kind of like a battle, but it's not really.
Also, what they do is, like, you, like, pet them a little bit, and they, like, bar their teeth, and then they scratch at you, like, lightly. They act, like, all vicious when they're not really doing very much. It's
The
funny.
reason, and the reason why.
But-
is because they're basically trying to practice fighting. That's
But if they ever feel threatened, that's when they actually bite, and that happened to one of our cats once that was attacking it like it was prey, and then it got upset and, like, attacked her, and that cat never fucked that ferrets.
Yeah, because ferrets have a nasty bite.
Oh, they're predators, absolutely.
Yeah,
Like,
they
they're
have
meat
a
eaters.
nasty bite.
Because cats aren't meant to, like, attack anything that can actually fight back. Like, that's not what they're supposed to do.
yeah, their main their main prey are like birds. You know.
Yeah. Their main prey is stuff that's, like, considerably smaller. Well, they consider anything smaller than them food, but if it ends up fighting back, they immediately don't fuck with it. Because they're not, like, very, like, especially house cats, they're not very combative at all.
Well, yeah, but
Compared to, like, big cats, which are way more likely to actually fight stuff.
Soft bought when it comes to the Siamese. Because those fuckers are really territorial.
Like, the only thing they really attack are each other, and that's the only thing they consistently attack for cats. Whereas stuff like lions is they're more likely to actually fight their prey instead of just ambush them and kill them. They'll actually fight them up
They
to an
need
extent.
feed family somehow.
Yeah.
so-
'Cause lions have it like really. You have to fight something which could, like, if it gets lucky with kicking you, it could kill you instantly. And you have to
Yeah,
fight that on a daily basis. Just to
I
eat.
posted that in the channel from Mute Lunatics.
Oh. The worm. Well, there's already worms. You just have your pet worm, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, you can already have your pet worm, but you can grow your worm from an egg to adult. Because you already have pet worms.
You have a worm skin as a character.
Yay! You can be you can start the worm cult with a worm settlement.
Yeah, but they do this because it's based on the movie.
Frank Herbert's Dune?
No, Doom.
Frank Herbert's Dune?
No.
That's the
Dune-
one that has the giant worms in it.
Well, Dune has giant worms in it as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's Frank Herbert's the author. Because it comes from the book originally.
Yeah.
I'm getting some stupid lag, so
I hear it's actually very good, book, but I haven't read it yet. When I'm in the mood to read a book, I'll probably be the next one I get. I'm not very into reading most.
And man, if you watch it, you will love it because the right to walk. It's really amazing. It can fly
Why
around.
am I getting? Why am I getting?
Someone asked me, would you rather ride a dragon or a giant worm? For me, it'd be giant worm.
Oh god, it's always the warm.
Yes, the worm's way cooler. I don't understand the logistics of how you ride it underground. That I don't know, but I'm sure there's a way.
No, easy. No, it's easy, right? What you do is you basically like, so you have a saddle that goes around the giant worm, right? And you have a dome,
Worm.
like a protective dome. And basically, if the thing has mandibles, like you basically pull on its mandibles to control the worm.
Nah, that's too mean. We'll just let it roam free, like a good worm does. The worm decides where it wants to go. Unless you have it be where the worms are psychic, so they read your mind or whatever. That's how it works.
Psychic webs confirmed.
Yeah. I'd like that
That's
more.
Baron Flint.
Oh yeah. He's the brother of
Captain Flint.
Captain Flint and Zane Flint, who you can play as in the third game. Which is funny because
Like, it's one of those deals. I can't wait because I heard Borderlands 3 is the best of the actual combat, but I heard the story is the worst. So it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I feel like a game, it needs to have a good story and good combat for it to be considered a good game. Okay game is if one of those things are right. So the thing is, I thought Prey was a good game. There are some people who think Prey's an okay game. At least that's what I do.
I think Prey's like really good actually.
I fucking
What are like what are even like the problems? I think the mimics can become a little bit predictable at a certain point.
They said that enemies were kind of like one-shots, you know, once you figured them out, then you can figure them
Yeah,
out.
they're a little bit too Newtonian in that you solve how they work one time and they're suddenly really easy.
Yeah, like, one thing that I said to mix that up is basically allow for different combinations of different, like, of the different Typhons. If they basically can do, like, you know, synergies, that would be amazing.
Oh, I was saying the easiest way to do that is just to make the AIs have different behaviors that they can randomly get. So some of them are really, really aggressive. Some of them are incredibly passive where they almost don't even want to fight you. And that would make it feel a lot cooler.
I felt like,
As
the
well.
thing is, I felt like some of the, what do you call it, the mimics actually did that, though.
That's only between the greater mimic and the normal mimic. The greater mimics are way more aggressive, whereas the normal mimics are less aggressive, but within their class, they're very consistent. They don't have, like, vastly different behavior.
Alright, so...
It's not... It's basically, any differences you'd see are more due to randomness than, like, anything deliberately programmed for them to do. It's just, like, random coincidence, kinda. 'Cause they're not supposed to, like, be more passive or more aggressive within, like, only one type of mimic, basically. Because the problem with, like, you know that, like, the greater mimics are stronger, so it's like, okay, well, it's still as predictable, because you know they're always going to be more aggressive. So it ruins it a little bit.
I need to get a new pistol. This one's starting to skip out.
Oh, I like the Nightmare in Prey. That thing was really cool, how it shows up.
Ray.
Yeah, the nightmare was actually really cool. I had someone who basically says, yeah, but what's the point of a nightmare? It's literally just a bullet sponge.
Like, well, the point is that it's supposed to be something meant to kill you, basically. It's not something that's meant to be easy to win against.
I actually, dude,
It is kind of... If I remember, it's easy to deal with because it's not that good at dealing with a player, I think, but...
Dude, that thing was stupid easy. What you do is you just take a recycler charge and throw at it 4 times, or what you can even do is you can basically just circle strafe around it with a shotty and...
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it can't deal with a player very well.
Like, it would be terrifying if it could actually, like, I don't know, like, if it was more more like the alien, if it was more like the alien AI where it would learn every single time you kill it, now that would be terrifying. Like first time it would be easy, and then next time it would be very
Alright,
like hard.
I'm gonna end my
and third
strum
time
though
it'd be, like,
now. Have my fulfillment with HunterNet. I feel like I got way better at this feeling comfortable. So mission accomplished.